The SEC is rejecting Torres's ruling, saying, guess what? What she said doesn't apply. This all comes out in the latest filing with the SEC going after Coinbase. So if the Torres ruling doesn't apply and we don't have new regs, doesn't this mean we're going to go to the Supreme Court? As always, viewers' comments come first. The Thunderstruck says if it goes to the Supreme Court, we also have to hope that we have a sympathetic majority or else we are dead. Honestly, it looks like this is going to be going to the Supreme Court, but it takes some time to get here with the archaic laws and procedures that we got in the United States. But for real, Gary in the SEC says, guess what? The Torres ruling doesn't apply to shit. Bitcoin sitting at 60,826 ETH, 2906 under 3 BNB, near 600 at 590. Sol deep in the red. What I've got up on the screen is the last 24 hours. Near pullback, dot pullback, XRP sitting at 50.5, XLM 10.6. Things are not looking good. The SEC says Ripple's victory with Torres, the ruling holds no weight for other cases. The U.S. SEC has thrown shade on the decision of Judge Annalisa Torres in the Ripple lawsuit, saying no court has followed the ruling. This critique was part of the SEC's argument against Coinbase's request for an interlocutory appeal. Don't believe me? I've got it right here because, as always, any article you see in this video will be linked against the description below. This was filed just yesterday, okay? So essentially what happened is this, okay? Torres came out and said, you know what? Primary sales, yeah, that's a violation, but secondary sales, you're okay. Then what happens is the SEC goes after Coinbase. The SEC also goes after Robinhood, saying, you know what? You know those crypto things you've been selling? Guess what? They're securities. So even though Torres said, well, wait a minute, secondary sales are protected, you know, like things what you and I do, the SEC is like, you know what? We're not going to listen to Torres at all. Now, Bill Morgan chimes in and gives us a little bit more clarity, and I like his statement here because here's one good thing. Well, here, let me share it with you, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Bill Morgan says, if no court follows the SEC versus Ripple and the SEC wins all these other big crypto cases, but the SEC does not appeal or does not succeed in appeal against Ripple, then guess what? Ripple will receive that benefit of the protection from Torres, but the rest of the crypto market won't. So what he says, sorry it was wordy. In short, decided cases sometimes do not become authoritative precedents and are considered bad law, but the successful party still won the case and moves on with the benefit of that decision. Basically what's saying is this, the Torres decision only applies to XRP versus SEC. The rest of the crypto market is F'd, and we know that the rest of the crypto market is F'd. Why? Because the SEC stands firm rejecting Coinbase's rulemaking, saying, guess what? We don't have to make new rules. We have all the rules we need. The 1933 and 34 securities laws are all we need. So the SEC first says, fuck you, Coinbase. We don't need to make new rules. We've got plenty on the books in order to regulate the shit out of crypto. Then the SEC goes even further and says, you know what? All the stuff you're selling, we know that Torres lady over there said, hey, secondary sales are protected, but we're going to say fuck you to her too and not pay attention or even think it applies to case law. So the SEC is saying, screw it, do whatever we want. Now, there's been a warning issued. That warning has been issued by Michael Saylor. I know he's a Max, he's a little bit of a nutbag, but Saylor says choose wisely. Now, recently what happened, though, was we had Grayscale's ETF options get pulled off the table citing regulatory challenges. And what Saylor said was, guess what, everyone? When they start outright rejecting the Ethereum action, the rest of the crypto market is screwed, so you might as well choose Bitcoin. Now, Saylor's nuts, and he's obviously a BTC maxi, so he's got something to gain from saying choose BTC. Yeah, because if everyone left the alt and bought BTC, his Bitcoin holdings would be worth so much more. So you have to be very careful on the author here because Saylor just wants you to buy Bitcoin. But what I'm bothered about this is that all of us, including you in the comments, we're all sitting here thinking the same thing. You've got one court that says cryptos are securities, another court that says no, it's not. You've got one case that says this, the other case that says something totally different. Which means either A, our regs aren't good enough to actually discriminate between things, or B, we're going to be going to the Supreme Court where the court is going to have to rule on it. And you know what? That's most likely where we're going to go, because the politicians in DC sure as shit ain't going to make regs this year because it's an election year. Now, the big issue, though, is how long would it take to get to the Supreme Court? And honestly, that would be years. And can you imagine the damage that will happen to crypto if we do not get action sooner and we have to wait for Supreme Court action in a few years? Yes, the end result would be in our favor, but look at the damage that's been done. When I show you the heat map in the beginning, does XRP at 50 cents really melt your face? Are grown men really crying? The power of the SEC is undeniable. Even if you don't agree with it, the damage they do to crypto is undeniable. So what damage will be done in the next several years until the Supreme Court hears this case? That's what we all have to consider, and that's why Sailor's saying you might as well choose wisely and choose Bitcoin. Sailor, I'm not listening to you. But what I am using you as is an example of other people that are hoping that the alts get pounded so that their BTC holdings go up in value. Messed up, isn't it? What are you doing on this Saturday? I'm essentially done with cleanup. I'm going to start helping some other people clean stuff up. Got a little bit of caffeine in the old drink this morning. I got to train quite a bit. Ended up with just under 60 miles for my last week of running training-wise. Got to crank it up a little bit more because I got a race coming in 4 weeks from today. Let me know what you cool cats are doing in the comments below, and I'll catch y'all later.